Today, it's time to give these signatures a home. So let's create a cover for our Poppyfield Avenue junk journal using the fabric we made in the last video, some cardboard, and perhaps some other materials which might come across our way. This is still an adventure, and I had so many ideas for this cover, I can't even count them anymore. But I made the decision that I want to make a hard cover instead of a soft cover. Perhaps if you have seen the last video, then you have also seen or heard my thoughts about this fabric here, which was really an adventure to make as well. And in the end of the video, I even thought about making a soft cover because, you know, this feels so cool. And I had some thoughts. It would be possible, of course, to make a soft cover, but for some reasons which are not your problem and not necessary for this video, I want to make a hardcover again. And I would like to show you how I do that. And I also would like to share some of my tips and tricks with you on how you could make that as well. This is Luise Heinzl. Welcome to my Poppyfield Avenue Junk Journal series. If you are new here, then please check out the description box. There's a playlist with all of the videos I have already published. There you can also see how we came to this stage of the project, how I made the fabric and so on. And there you can also find my paper premiere video. That was a premiere video on YouTube a few weeks ago, and there I have shown you the bound journal already so that you can get a better idea of how the new paper collection, Poppyfield Avenue, can look in a journal instead of seeing just loose things on my table. And I thought that could be helpful. And now we are making a little time travel, and I show you portions of my process, how I made the journal. So if you want to see the finished thing first, you can search for the paper premiere video in the playlist. In the description box, there's also a link to a blog post about this journal. There you can find photos, all of the videos in the chronological order, some more information, and also all of the things I've used, like, for example, stamps, stencils, products, and so on. There you can find links to the things I've used here. If you are, for example, watching a video and you think, oh, she did miss to say the name of the stamp or so, you can find it in the blog post. Also, the link is down below in the description box. So let's do this, okay? I have my 3 cover pieces here, already cut into the right size, made from some 3mm cardboard. While I was preparing this video, I came to the thought that it took me about, I think, 8 years or so to find these measurements. That sounds a bit weird. And why am I telling you that? I would like to encourage you to find your own measurements for your journals, for the covers, and also the materials that work for you. I know that not everyone likes hardcover. I know not everyone likes softcover. That is obviously a personal thing. But what I'm trying to say is it takes time until you find the materials and the measurements you like. What is this? This is a really wild mixture mixture of inch and centimeters. Why? Easy answer. My paper is DIN A4, and the biggest size of pages in my signatures is DIN A4 folded in half. If you have already seen the other videos, oh, I think I missed to say that is such a running gag, which is not even funny. I am so sorry. In the beginning of the videos, I always try to give information to the new people here on the channel as well, so that you are not confused. But I always forget to say hello to the people who always come back, and those who are not new. Welcome to you as well, of course. I'm so sorry. The pages here, yeah? They have different sizes on purpose because we wanted to create this layered look. But the biggest size of the pages is DIN A4 folded in half. This thought or the thinking behind this would work with US letter size paper obviously as well. We have already discussed that in the video when we made this here. That was the first video of the series. So what I did was I took this, the DIN A4 paper, folded in half, because I know that this is the biggest size of pages I have. And then I've taken my cardboard, I took the paper, lined that up here, because that's where the spine will be in the end. And the pages will be in here like so. They will touch the spine later here. But I want to have a frame around here so that the cover is slightly bigger than my biggest pages in the journal are. This is about approximately 0.5 centimeters here, here, and here. And 0.5 centimeters is approximately a quarter of an inch. And because of this size of the paper and easy peasy measuring, I came to 15.5 by 22 centimeters for both of these pieces. My spine is 3 inch by 22 centimeters. Why is my camera not focusing? Well, what is this? Now I have it. I'm so sorry. So this is 3 inch by 22 centimeters. The 22 centimeters is exactly this height here. So the spine is the same height like the cover pieces, and it's 3 inch because I find that very easy to measure later for the positions of the signatures. I have 5 signatures in total, and I want to have half of an inch in between of each of the signatures. And that is why I came to 3 inch. That is just easier for me to measure. Could you do all the things in centimeters? Obviously, yes. So then we need something to connect these pieces. And for that, I would like to take this here. This is such a tape, which is paper on the one side, and it has this coating. And when you make that wet, it gets sticky. I like to take a paper tape instead of a plastic tape, because when I later on want to glue something on here, no matter if it's fabric or paper or whatever, I have an easier job to glue that. I know some people use packaging tape. I mean, this could be used for packages as well. I mean, plastic packaging tape, and they glue that over here. For me, that is not so the thing. It is not my cup of tea, because I had problems when this is plastic to glue my fabric on here in the past. And please have in mind, this is the most used thing of a journal, because we will open and close this multiple times later. And then we want that the materials we glue on here stick here very well, yeah, obviously. So then we have this, and we are going to take something where we can put this on so that it is here, you know, that it is not wonky in the end. And I want to have a quarter of an inch in between of this piece and this piece. Now you might think, yeah, how shall I decide that? I had the following experience. In the past, I watched tutorials on YouTube, and they said, make this gap, excuse me, please, make this gap the width of the thickness this has. So they have put it in here, like so, and then they do it like so, take this out, and then this here is the slot, the width of the slot they leave there. But my problem, and sorry, why do they do it like that? Because this piece here needs exactly that space to come up like so, yeah? And because of that, they put another piece which has the same thickness in between here, and then they get this slot, and then they do this. But do you know what my problem is? If I want to use fabric on the outside and on the inside, the fabric later on will be in the slot as well. And that makes that the slot, when it's only the 3 millimeters of this, that is not enough space. And I had the problem in the past when I did that and put this in here, that I couldn't close the journal anymore. Or, you know, that it went like so then, and it was just not enough space. And because of that, I decided that I go with 1/4 of an inch, even if that seems much in the beginning. I mean, if you put it like so here, and you see this, you might think, oh my goodness, that is very, very much. But please believe me, in the end, everything will be just fine. Take the tape and put it to the table. Then put this piece on here. Put your ruler on here to help you that this can't move. I'm so sorry, I need to put my eyes closer to this. This is a really cool ruler, but it's so light. The print on the ruler is so light that I nearly can't see it. Okay, so then I could measure here, yeah, that I have my 1/4 of an inch here, and when I press this piece against the ruler, then I know this is parallel. Then I like to take this here. I need a bone folder now, this kind of thing. Then I go along here, so that the tape sticks to this portion of the paper, of the cardboard, and then I carefully work this in here so that this, I think it's it got dry. I'm so sorry, I talked too long. We need more water. Normally that doesn't happen because I do that normally faster, but in this case I talked too long and this got dry and it doesn't stick anymore. You could do this with regular tape as well, yeah, just work this in here so that then this here sticks to the sticky part here in the slot. Make this wet, bring this under here. So now I make sure that it's also pressed on here for this piece, not only for that, because if it was like so, then it's wonky in the end, yeah. Press this against the material. Here I have now the possibility to see where 1/4 of an inch is. We do the same thing. We take our bone folder and bring this here to the correct position. And now I'm going to take 2 more strips of this tape. And they go over here, so that now also here the sticky part meets the sticky part. Do you know what I mean? I work this in here. I will go over this with my heat tool for a few seconds so that I can turn this around without problems. Oh no. Then we can turn this around and just bring these things here to the other side and also go in here. And with that, we already have the base for our cover. Easy peasy. So then, the next thing we need to do is we need to decide for the portion of the fabric we want to have on here. If you have seen the other video, you know we have made more than we need, a bigger piece, yeah, so that we have some thing left later for making different things like page tabs and so on. And what I thought was, is it possible, and I can now hopefully see that because I have this here, is it possible that we can do it like this? Is it then still long enough? Yeah, I think so. Because I thought it would be cool to have the face of the woman, you know, half of the face here and the other half here. But I want that a little bit of a frayed edge is here later. So I cut this here so that it's approximately this much more. like so. We can fray this even further later. And then you can do it like so, and then cut it off here as well. So you can see what I'm cutting here is bigger than the cover itself, because I want these frayed edges. So then I want to take this away to paint the outside and the inside of this with some acrylic paint. This is just some leftover paint I have mixed. Can you see that? It's a little bit brownish. I think this fits really well to this. I don't want to have it completely white, but also not too dark. That has several reasons. And also this step has several reasons. First of all, I noticed that this cardboard is shit. Sorry when I say that, but I realized that while I was gluing these tape pieces here with the water, I realized that as soon as water hits this material, it's like, yeah, reacting strange somehow. I want to seal the surface with the acrylic paint. I could do that with gel medium or whatever kind of sealer, but at the same time, when I do this here, I have not only sealed it, but I also get rid of the contrast in color of the tape and this, because I don't know how translucent my fabric is, and I'm assuming that there where we only have the fabric and not the acrylic paint, that it shines through somehow. And I tested this here, and when I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but when I do this, I can see that I have a shadow here from this, and I don't want that. I want that my fabric looks exactly like I see it when I have it over there. I don't want this line to show through the fabric. The other thing is, I want to tear into the fabric in some spots, and there something on this material shall peek through. I will in a second show you what that is, and because of that I want to have a color on here, and also this, yeah, the surface the acrylic paint provides, instead of having the raw cardboard material there. I will dry this with my heat tool, then I will do a second coat so that it's really, you can see it's still a little translucent. I will do a second coat, and then I will do the whole thing on the other side as well. So then when we have that and everything is completely dry, we can take an embossing pen and black embossing powder, or alternatively any other color you like, because now I want to decide where, approximately where, I want to tear into the fabric later, so that then this is visible, and I want to bring a little graffiti effect to the cover here, which is then later on shown, and which hopefully will look good. Let's start on the back. So I think approximately here, here. Let's do it here and here. I know this is really hard to understand what I'm doing here, but in a second you will see when I do it, then you can easily decide for your own fabric how you want to do that, I think. So when I have that, I take my embossing pen and I want to scribble on here so that it, when it's embossed with black embossing powder, looks like a graffiti effect. The scribbling here is now probably way more than I will need later, but my paper. I don't care. I rather want to have more than I need than not enough. If the surface here is more with the graffiti effect, I can later on easier decide how much how much I want to tear into the fabric, and the rest will then be covered by the fabric. And I'm really hoping that this will, I mean, it will shine through the fabric. I know that. Perhaps you scream, oh, don't do that, because you've just painted the cover so that nothing shines through the fabric. Yes, but in this case here I want to use that as part of the design. And if it looks ugly, I already have something in mind how to make it invisible later. So when the embossing powder is melted, it looks like this. And what the heck? It's obviously glossy. I can't find the right angle that you can see it here. I'm going to take some frayed burlap distress paint and a brayer, and I'm going to take just the thinnest layer of this on the brayer. So then, when this is dry, it looks like this. Really weird at the moment, I know. And now we have probably the hardest part in front of us, and that's gluing this in the right position and tearing in the right spots. So I need, what do I need? First of all, the position of the face. That is the most important thing, I would say. Then I make sure that I have here and here the same amount, so that it's there in the correct position. I went with my fingernail here so that I can see where this needs to go now. And now I want to take, if I can open it, some bookbinder's glue and glue this in sections, because obviously when I glue it completely I can't tear into it anymore. If I first tear, I don't know where to tear. If that makes sense. So we are going to press our hand on here, lift this up, take a little bit of our bookbinder's glue, and I first want to put only a little bit here, so that I first can get the correct position for the face then. Because, you know, if that's not in the correct spot, that would be very sad, I think. So I press this on here, take my bone folder. I also make sure that with my bone folder I come into this slot here, so that the fabric here in the slot is really, you know, glued down well. So then, shall we? Yeah, let's do this first, because this is the back, okay? So then we can open this, and we have now here this little graffiti thing. So that means I look from, can you see that? Can you see my finger? I look from here into the thing so that I can see this here, so that I'm able to carefully, okay, carefully tear in here, so that this gets visible. And do the same thing here. I lift this up a little bit, then I can see where the graffiti is, and tear in there. And then we need to decide how to glue this down now, and that is something I couldn't plan, because you know. I need to figure that out now. I mean, we could do it like so, and then perhaps later even go over that with the sewing machine, but to be honest, what I want to avoid is that I see the back of the fabric, because I think that here looks not so nice. I think that looks pretty cool. And if we now put the glue under here, then this will be in the air later, and I think that looks really, really cool. Do you know what? This glue dries transparent. I just go over this whole thing. But that way I can press this into exactly the position I want to have it. And we can, with that method, even shape this little opening here pretty well. So then, when we have that, we need to find out how to tear in here in this spot, but I think that should be no problem. Where are my fabric scissors? I think we can just poke in here. And tear this open. Do you know these situations where you think, okay, it's not like I had it in my mind, but how could it be like I had it in my mind? Because I'm not a fortune teller, blah, blah, blah. But you have this feeling that something is going wrong. And I now know what that is. This can't be a triangle for me. Because, look, this slot is a triangle, isn't it? Huh. Let's do it like this. And let's, yeah, that is, here, that is the solution. I will cut in here like so. Then the portion of the graffiti, oh my goodness, I have to do that very fast so that the glue can't dry. I'm sorry, I will quickly do it and then I will explain it, okay? I need to be very, very fast now. Okay, I think I fixed it. So, what I was trying to say is, I didn't like this triangular shape of this portion where we can see the graffiti. I think, at least for me, it looks better when this is a rectangle. And this little thing here will, for now, be here like so. It can happen that I will later on tear that off. Perhaps I will find another thing which I like for that, but you know, we could even think about something like this or so and glue that down. I don't know yet, but I think it looks better when this is not a triangle and we can see more of this effect. And then we can do the same here on the front.
You tear out a page, then read a line or two. Your secret letters, hidden chapters I was longing for. You folded it and smiled. I love those words and you.
Okay, so when we have that, we can go away, drink a coffee, have lunch, whatever you might want, or which time it is, and we can let this dry. So this is now completely dry, and I think this looks really weird, but I have had some thoughts about this, and I think a little bit of sewing would look really good here. But before we do that, I think we should put fabric to the inside of the cover as well. And this, I would say, is the perfect match. I mean, we even have a fabric which is, I think, called London Grit, isn't it? That's this one here. All of these are by Tim Holtz. Holy shit. What is that? Look. I thought that's cool because the Poppyfield Avenue paper collection is inspired by the city London. Here it even says London. But it's biting each other a little bit. But it says London there. I think I want to run away now. What the heck shall I do now? I mean, I like this darker portion way better with this. This color here is nearly what this bleeding of the archival ink gave us on the fabric. This would be perfect, but I think on this dark portion it doesn't say London. No, it doesn't. Tim! Ah! This is unacceptable. What is that? I mean, here, there, it's... And I would need to cut this out from the center here of the thing to get the word London. That also drives me crazy already, even if I haven't done it yet. Because, you know, I would prefer to cut it from one of the edges and not from the center here. There's only half of the word. That would be absolutely weird. Needs to be this. And I will definitely not destroy this fabric and cut a piece from the center of this fabric just because it says the word London. I mean, what does this say? How is this fabric called? And if I wouldn't know the name of the fabric, then I would probably also not come to the idea to do it like that. What does this say? What is this? How is this called? This is called subway signs. Oh, that's also nice. If we make it a little bigger, that would be even good, because then we see this color here, this gray, a little bit, and that reminds to this color. If you don't want to sew over here, yeah, you just make something and this is finished now, okay? Then you can take this and do what I show you in the next video, just with this big piece of fabric. And then the signatures will go in here, yeah? The signatures will go in here with the technique I show you in the next video, and then this would be just glued like so and like so. So that means this piece of fabric is then what covers your inside of the journal cover. But in my case, I want to sew through this here now, and because of that I want to have this in here now, and I will take another piece of fabric. Oh, we could then perhaps choose a portion of the London grid fabric. That could make sense. And that will then go in here. Yeah. But I will show you that in the next video. So then I like to place it where it will go. You could even take some clamps or so to not move it. Then we can press our hand here, open this, take our bookbinder's glue, and then we just glue this on. And then we are going to let this dry. Okay, so when this is completely dry, we can take an ink pad. I'm going to take archival ink ground espresso because that's permanent and who knows what will happen in the next steps. And with that, I want to go around here, not only to distress the edges, but also to make my life easier when I go to my sewing machine in a second. Because the fabric is bigger than the cardboard is. And with this, oh, you can't see it here. I will show you that on the outside in a second, okay? Because I think there it shows up way better than here. I can see it, and that's all I need and all I want. Because this gives me a little guide where to sew. Okay. And then let's do that on the outside as well. And to be honest, at the moment I'm really asking myself why I did this. When I see this, I'm not so 100% happy with it, and I'm really wondering if I shall just glue this back. Like so. Somehow the background here looks so rosé-ish. Not so sure. So let's do this here as well, and I think here you can now see it way better than on the inside. Okay, then we can let this dry, and then I will take this to my sewing machine. And on the way to the sewing machine, I need to decide what to do with these little things. It's so interesting. The whole time while I was on my sewing machine, I was like, oh my goodness, what have I done? This looks somehow so weird. But then when I had finished my sewing and I also went around these rectangles here, it's a totally different thing for me. This looks so cool now. I mean, that's personal taste, obviously, yes. But what I'm trying to say is, trust your ideas, please. And if you started doing something and then you think in the middle of the process, what the heck is that and what have I done? Please just go on. Don't throw the thing into the corner of your room. Just go on. Make sure that all of the windows are closed, that you don't accidentally throw it out, you know. And then just go on. This looks so cool. And if you're wondering which setting for the sewing machine you need to get something like this is impossible. This is a really artsy sewing zigzag which went wrong, but we also appreciate those fails with the sewing machine, okay? Because that looks pretty cool on the inside. Here I have a lighter thread, so that means one thread was black, the one which is on the top, yeah, and the other thread is brown, so that we have this here in the inside now, and that it, ooh, what is this? That it shows up on the inside as well. And now we want to make something like this here. I already started doing that. You can see this is now really fluffy, and this is yeah, something I really like. And this is also something which I would say became part of my style over the years. And to do that, we need something like, for example, a cutting mat or so to protect this. And I'm using an awl, and then I just go in here and do this for approximately an hour and take these threads out, so that we then all around the cover have this cool frayed look. So here we go. Fluffy. This looks just cool. And now I'm really wondering if you have an answer to the following question. Two questions. The first question is, does this look like poppy? Like poppy flowers? THS 143. I thought, if this was black and this was red, it looks like a poppy flower. And the second question is, how long can you sit in your craft room with a stencil in front of your eyes, approximately 25 centimeters away from your eyes, and stare at the stencil? How long? I mean, what is the maximum of time which is allowed to stare on a stencil? I have absolutely no idea, but I was sitting here for I don't know how long, and I have the feeling there's no other way to find out if this could work than to do it. And I'm really afraid, but I want to try that. I want to try to add some poppy flowers here, because when we made this, we lost the poppy flowers which have been here on the print, and I can't live with this cover when there's no poppy on the cover, because, I mean, what is this? It's my Poppyfield Avenue chunk journal.